Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're serious about your physical goals, there's always this impulse, right, to just do more.
Oh, absolutely.
If lifting 3 days a week is good, then surely 5 days a week has to be better.
It's the central paradox in fitness, isn't it? So many dedicated people, they run right up against this wall asking, is there actually a maximum amount of exercise, of really high intensity training that can actively harm your progress?
Or even damage your health long term, or just get you stuck.
Exactly. Leave you on a performance plateau.
And based on all the research we've pulled together for this, the answer is a pretty resounding yes. If your mission is to grow stronger or build muscle, more is absolutely not always better.
Right.
So our mission today is to really cut through all that confusion. We're going to try and figure out the scientific sweet spot, how much training is actually enough to guarantee results.
And what factors are limiting your body's ability to recover?
And most importantly, how we can use objective science-backed methods to speed up that recovery and, avoid the dreaded injury roadblock.
And the core concept that governs all of this is, well, it's straightforward, but it's constantly overlooked. Your true physical limit isn't defined by your willpower.
Not your ego.
Not your ego in the weight room, no. It is entirely determined by your individual recovery capacity.
Okay, recovery capacity.
If you train past that biological tipping point, you stop creating the positive adaptation you want, and you just start generating systemic damage faster than your body can fix it.
And that's the plateau.
Yeah.
That's how you actually start losing the gains you worked so hard for.
That's it.
So recovery is the real bottleneck here. If we want to maximize our results and minimize those rest days, we have to understand the physiological process of repair. What are the pillars? What determines how fast we can bounce back?
To maximize results, you first have to master the environment where your body does its repairs.
Yeah.
We've isolated 4 major non-negotiable factors. Get these wrong, and everything else just fails.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first, and maybe the one that gets undermined the most, is sleep.
Of course.
It's just so crucial. Muscle development or anabolism.
The building process.
The building process, exactly. It doesn't happen when you're lifting. The training is just the signal, the trauma, the actual adaptation, the building that happens after, specifically during deep sleep.
That's when all the good stuff happens, like growth hormone release.
That's when your body switches into repair mode.
That's such a powerful point because sleep is always the first thing people sacrifice when they try to squeeze in an extra workout. But what about stress? If you're running on high cortisol, how does that fight against the building process?
Cortisol is the ultimate catabolic hormone. It just breaks things down. So when you're stressed, your cortisol levels are high, and that directly interferes with your sleep quality.
So you can't get into that deep restorative sleep.
You can't. It prevents you from reaching those crucial REM and deep sleep cycles where the real repair happens. And on top of that, high cortisol actively inhibits your anabolic hormones like testosterone and growth hormone.
So it's a double whammy.
It is. If your sleep is compromised, you're not just slowing recovery, you're basically forcing your body into a catabolic state. The gains from yesterday, almost impossible to lock in.
Which brings us to pillar number 2, nutrition. The fuel and the bricks. What's the immediate post-workout focus to speed things up?
Well, post-training nutrition has 2 vital functions. Number 1, replacing energy stores. We're talking mainly about carbohydrates that you just burned through.
Refueling the tank.
Right. If you don't reload, you won't have the energy for the next session. Performance drops, intensity drops. Function 2 is providing the building blocks. You need protein, specifically essential amino acids, ready to go to construct new tissue.
So it's not just about slamming a protein shake. It's about getting the right materials immediately.
Immediately. We have to stress that. It's about providing quality materials right when the construction crew shows up.
Okay. So sleep and fuel are managed. Now we're at the internal management system. Pillar 3, hormones. Are they basically the thermostat for how quickly we adapt?
They absolutely are the thermostat. Hormones govern the entire metabolic control system. They're balancing the anabolic, the building state, with the catabolic, the using up state.
It's all about balance.
It's all about equilibrium. And this is why our sources bring up testosterone so often. Generally speaking, higher natural testosterone levels don't just help with strength. They fundamentally accelerate muscular recovery.
Which lets you have shorter rest periods.
Directly. It allows for shorter rest periods between sessions. It is the ultimate biological recovery advantage.
Okay, let's talk accelerants. The specific things we can add to speed up that repair timeline. Pillar 4, supplements. Which ones actually move the needle?
We're looking at two main categories here. One supplies the raw materials, the other supplies the energy. In the raw material category, you have your essential amino acids, EAAs, and within those, the branched chain amino acids, or BCAAs.
Leucine, isoleucine, and valine. I've heard of those.
Right. And here's the nuance people often miss. Think of amino acids as building materials. Leucine is your primary contractor. It's the single most important signal for kickstarting muscle protein synthesis.
So the others help, but leucine flips the switch.
It flicks the switch. It's required for actually constructing the contractile tissue, the muscle fiber itself. You need all the EAAs, but leucine is the specific spark plug for growth.
Got it. High-quality bricks and the leucine signal. What about the second category, the energy one?
That is where creatine comes in. Now, creatine isn't a building material. It's a high-octane fuel reserve for your muscles.
Right. It helps with ATP.
It increases the available ATP, the main energy source, right at the cellular level. So by boosting those energy reserves, creatine lets you perform better during the workout, and crucially, it accelerates the rate of recovery between sessions.
So using these is a proven way to shorten your rest time without getting hurt.
It's a scientifically proven way to do just that.
Okay, let's connect all these pillars to real-world training. Because recovery isn't static, is it? Your experience level must change how quickly your body adapts.
Oh, it's a critical distinction, especially for beginners. If you're new to lifting or you've been, completely detrained for a while, your body is biologically unprepared for that stress.
The machinery isn't there yet.
The cellular machinery to quickly shuttle repair materials just isn't robust, so the initial damage is seen as a much bigger threat. This means beginners absolutely must prioritize more rest.
This directly challenges that expectation that you should see results right away. Let's get into the protein synthesis timeline, our sources detail. It's fascinating. Why do so many people quit in those first few weeks?
Because their body is prioritizing survival over vanity. The data is so clear on this. During the first, say, 3 weeks of consistent resistance training, 80 to 90% of all new protein synthesis is dedicated purely to repairing the damage from your workout.
80 to 90%. So you're not even growing.
You are not growing. You are patching up micro tears and adapting the nervous system.
So that wall of fatigue and soreness, it isn't a sign you're failing. It's just the body in triage mode. You should not be looking in the mirror for bigger biceps then.
Absolutely not. You are in a high damage repair phase. But here's the payoff. Once you stay consistent past that third or fourth week, your body has adapted.
The machinery is built.
The machinery is built and the picture flips. Now, only about 10% of protein synthesis is needed for damage repair, and the other 90% is available for generating new muscle tissue, for hypertrophy.
That's when the visible growth actually kicks off.
That's it.
And the sources seem to suggest that muscular hypertrophy is really optimized around 10 weeks of consistent effort. So patience pays off. What's the specific recommendation for a beginner right now to avoid overtraining?
The initial guidelines are conservative, but they're necessary. Beginners should rest at least 2 full days per week. And critically, they should not train any single muscle group more frequently than every 72 hours at first.
72 hours, 3 full days.
It ensures that even the most extensive systemic damage has time to be repaired before you hit it again.
That makes perfect sense. So let's move from beginner rules to defining too much based on your actual goals, because the recovery formula changes with intensity, right?
Exactly. Let's take 2 specific goals. First, goal 1, increasing muscular strength. The training for this is very specific. We're talking 3 to 6 reps at 80 to 90% of your max lift.
Heavy stuff.
Very heavy. And that's highly taxing on the central nervous system.
Which is why the rest periods in strength training are famously long, 2 minutes, sometimes more.
Right.
Why is that specific time needed?
That rest is absolutely mandatory. Strength relies on the ATP-PCR energy system. You need that 2-minute window to completely replenish those phosphocreatine stores in the muscle cells.
So you can give 100% on the next set.
Without it, you simply cannot lift that heavy weight again. And that brings us to the objective limit for the day. Once you can no longer complete your 3 to 6 rep set, even with proper rest, you've hit your limit for strength training.
Pushing past that just gets you tired, not stronger.
You're just inducing fatigue. There's no additional benefit.
Okay, now let's switch gears. Goal 2, volume and hypertrophy, so muscle size. This is where it gets more complex.
It does. The key principle is this. The closer you train to failure, the fewer weekly sets you actually need. And to manage this, we have to use the rate of perceived exertion, or RPE.
RPE, right? That's basically how many reps were left in the tank.
A simple but effective measure. RPE 10 is 0 reps left, you're at absolute failure. RPE 7 means you could have done 3 more.
So if I do a really high-intensity session, say squats at an RPE 9 or 10 on Monday, how does that affect my Tuesday?
That you can maybe do some light accessory work for other muscles, but that primary system is still recovering. But if you drop the intensity to a moderate RPE 7,
Leaving 3 reps in the tank.
consistently, you generate much less systemic damage. This allows for way more training frequency. You can often hit that same muscle group again in 24 to 36 hours.
And we also need to budget recovery based on the sheer size of the muscles we're working.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Compound large group exercises, your squats, your deadlifts, they are so taxing on the central nervous system. They demand huge recovery time.
Versus something small.
Right. Contrast that with an isolation exercise, like a bicep curl. You can recover from that so much faster. The systemic demand is low. You have to budget rest based on the overall cost of the movement.
And we can't ignore the biggest factor of all, age.
We cannot. As we age, recovery just slows down. For someone who is, say, 70 years old, that cellular turnover that facilitates repair is less efficient.
So an injury can be much more serious.
It can. If an older trainee gets a lesion, the repair might not be complete. It could lead to lasting deficits in strength or mobility. So for older trainees, especially if they're new to it, they should stay further from that RPE limit.
Aim for what, RPE 6 or 7?
Consistently. Always have 3 or 4 reps left in the tank. It just minimizes that excessive tissue damage.
Okay, so we have the 72-hour rule for beginners, 48 hours for high intensity, and leaving reps in the tank as we age. How do we put all this together into an actual training plan? How should I structure my week?
The goal, once you're past that beginner stage, is to maximize the frequency of the stimulus while guaranteeing recovery.
Okay.
So if you're a beginner or maybe over 50 or coming back from an injury, just stick with a simple A-B split, upper body, lower body.
And train maybe 4 times a week, max.
Exactly, which ensures that 72-hour window between hitting the same major group. It's safe, it's effective.
Maximum repair time.
Correct. But once you're an experienced lifter, the goal shifts. The data suggests that training each muscle group at least 2 times per week is optimal for hypertrophy.
And 3 times is even better.
3 times is ideal. And this is why that traditional bro split, where you hit chest on Monday and don't touch it again for a week.
Yeah, that's pretty much considered suboptimal now.
It is. Based on the science of protein synthesis, it's better to have a brief, highly divided routine that you repeat twice a week that lets you hit that 48 to 72-hour sweet spot for each group.
Before we wrap up structure, let's just quickly circle back to those other recovery aids. Beyond supplements, nutrition, sleep, what else can we do?
Well, we've seen strong evidence for things that increase blood flow and oxygen delivery. Things like targeted magnesium oil massages, saunas, both infrared and normal. That thermal stress actually accelerates tissue repair and enhances circulation, which flushes out metabolites and delivers repair materials faster.
Fantastic. So if recovery is the key metric we're all chasing, how do we move beyond just, feeling sore and use something objective to measure our readiness?
This is, I think, the most exciting development in personalized training. It's leveraging heart rate variability, or HRV.
HRV.
It's a precise physiological measure of the activity in your autonomic nervous system, specifically the parasympathetic or rest and digest branch.
So high HRV means you're recovered.
Generally, yes. High HRV signals your body is relaxed, adapted, and ready to go. Low HRV indicates high stress and not enough recovery.
The idea that we can actually quantify our recovery beyond just feeling tired it's a game changer. Did the studies on athletes validate that 48-hour window using HRV?
They did. Studies on Olympic athletes showed that the optimal recovery sweet spot for adaptation, measured precisely by a return to baseline HRV, was indeed slightly over 48 hours for really intense training.
And this is accessible to everyone now.
It's so practical. You can measure HRV easily with smartwatches, with rings. You don't have to guess when your body is ready anymore. You can just look at the data.
That really is the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive. The core lesson is that training excessively, it feels virtuous, it feels like you're working hard, but long-term it just generates chronic damage and stops your progress.
Exactly.
The key to adaptation isn't sheer willpower. It's not suffering through pain. It's strategic, science-dictated rest that respects your own body's capacity.
We've established that for most goals, that 48 to 72-hour window of rest per major muscle group is the biological sweet spot. And remember, the volume that is too much is always defined by your physiology, your recovery capacity.
Not by what you see someone else doing on social media.
Never.
We have traditionally relied entirely on these subjective feelings, soreness, fatigue, motivation, to decide when to go back to the gym. But by embracing and leveraging objective technology like HRV monitors, we can now move past that guesswork. We can start using precise, quantified physiological data to truly personalize and optimize exactly when your body is ready to train again, transforming your rest days into actionable, quantifiable science.